Hey Ashley, why did you forget the most important part of a game?
Yeah, that is the worst lip syncing ever. Mainly because it's a toy that doesn't have lips, but yeah. Bear with me, people. Yeah, the one bit that I forgot about said Bug's Life is something that is more appropriate and applies to this week's video as well. And that is the musical soundtrack for it. Bug's Life is one of the best game soundtracks that I am aware of. That isn't like multi-million-dollar budget, like all these other big games that have it. This was, I don't think it had a major budget, otherwise I think it would have pushed it more and it would have sold more. But the music is absolutely incredible. Just, I could have quite a lot of the tracks just playing as ambient music for me because they just work and create a great atmosphere. I noticed that Kid Icarus uses quite a lot of it on his YouTube material on pretty much at least one or two of his videos that he does a month at least. There's always a little bit there, and I think it's left an impact on him, that game, because obviously with the amount of times he uses music from the game or stuff relating to it, it's a nice catchy score. It's probably one of the strongest that was made and probably never released as part of a soundtrack. So thank you, Dim. Right, moving on. This week's game relates to music as well, of sorts. So I didn't bring it with me, but in the last week or so since recording, I purchased Tetris DX Edition for the Game Boy. Well, Game Boy Color, because it practically is the same thing, because the cartridge sort of adapts itself to the Game Boy Color that I've got, which is here, but it's got Wario Land 2 in it. But, no, that will be a game that I'll probably touch on at some point, because I need to finish completing that. But, Tetris, pretty much everybody knows Tetris, Create lines, clear the line, you get points, and you progress further, and it gets harder and harder. So, let's take that idea, put music to it in a bit more of a sense, and we'll release it only for handhelds. And we got Lumines. Now, Lumines did get a sequel, as it says here. For some reason, the sequel is Certificate 12, so that must mean them, I don't know, I'm trying to look at the age ratings. If there's violence, I don't understand, because it's a puzzle game. Bad language, I guess, if there's swearing in the songs. Fear. Is it that scary? Sexual content, drugs, or discrimination. If a puzzle game had any of that, that'd be odd. So I'm guessing it could be bad language. I don't know. I haven't got the game. What I have got is the original version souped up. Namely, can't be bothered. I won't get the booklet. I'll show you the box. Lumines Plus. And I think this is one of the most fun puzzle games that have been made in recent years. This came out 2006, this Lumines Plus edition, and the whole idea is, rather than being lines with Tetris blocks, it's making the same coloured cubes by dropping other cubes down. So obviously with the combination of the cubes, you can have basically the colours that you have are orange and silver. So you could have 2 orange, 2 silver. You could have a checkerboard orange and silver. You could have 3 silver or 3 orange in an R shape with the one little, not the other colour, in the corner. Or you can just get a simple drop of a actual silver or an orange 4 square. The whole idea is you have to create squares of 2 by 2 to gradually progress in the game. Obviously, you can rather than just doing 2 by 2 things, you can put other shapes on top of it, so you can make 2 by 3s or 4 by 3s. Just as long as there's a cube of 2 by 2 connected, that stuff will delete when the line goes past. And this is where the music comes in, because the line is basically the rhythm of the track. So if it's like on a 4/4 beat, or the little sting bit of the track that they have, it lasts for the whole duration of the screen. Now, the only time that those squares get cleared, as I said, was when the line goes. The trick here is where the music comes in. You start off with something that's relatively cool and calm, and then you get to the ones where it's rapidly moving, and then it takes the really nice twist of slowing down the music. So therefore, because you're starting from an earlier level, as you progress on further, the rate of the speed that the blocks drop into the box goes up. So when stuff is being dropped at a fair amount, but the line is coming across a lot slower for it to clear, that's when the panic sets in. And I have managed to complete a full cycle on the standard mode, and it took me at least 100 or so attempts. It's not that easy, but it's sort of like Sudoku games. It sort of gets your spatial awareness and sort of knowing that's what it is. It's a shame I don't do it with all the shit that's behind me, but you know, look at this. I'm pretty sure there's a better way to stack it than this, all arching and tilting. Ugh. Perhaps I need to learn more lessons from this game. I don't know. The fact is as well, it's 2-player, so there is an option certainly with. It's a lot easier on here to do it rather than. Actually, I don't know whether there was a 2-player with the original version. There might have been, but it might have been online only. Because obviously with a multiplayer you can just use 2 controllers. You can go against the CPU as well. That goes again in stages. I haven't managed to fully complete that, mainly because the AI towards the latter stages gets very sort of, I'm going to make you my bitch sort of thing. It gets a little bit too ridiculous. Which is nothing against it, because the quicker that you can do it, the quicker you can eliminate your opponent and progress on to the next one. I don't know how far I've got with that, whether I've got to go through 6 or 7 or 8. I've lost track. I get stuck on like the 5th or the 6th one normally, depending how on top of my game I am. But that's there. But then also challenge mode. So the whole idea here is you have to make patterns and or shapes. So, for instance, one of the early ones is create a 3-line cross. So 3 squares up, horizontal and vertical together to form a cross. But then it goes on to making a giraffe's head and spelling out the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 individually, or A, B, C, and D. It's sort of, I don't think I've fully completed that stage yet, because the later on you get, the more complicated the shapes are, but the time doesn't. Sometimes they give you more time, sometimes they don't. It's like that, but I think from what I remember, looking in the credits, by the looks of it, this is a Japanese game, which it sort of is taking the heart of Tetris, really, but make it into something different that isn't Tetris, so they can't be sued. It's just, they've done a pretty good job. There is one licensed track apparently, which is the first track that you play in the entire game, as if you go on to one-player standard mode. I've not even heard of it. Apparently it's Mondo Grosso featuring KJ. Whatever that is. That's not a bad track, but there's other sort of tracks in there that are pretty cool. There's one that randomly keeps saying stop at me. When I keep going to the pushing blocks to the left or the right, it goes stop. And then I'm thinking, hammer time? No, just, it's a little fun game, and I think it's timely that I'm doing this, because as of Monday, September the 15th, certainly in Europe and I believe in North America as well, the PlayStation Portable Store is being shut down for good. So, considering the price that this was, which I think, I don't know if you can read that, £2.50. It's a bit faded out over time. But I think the PSP versions of both Lumines 1 and 2 are relatively cheap, even on UMD for the original console. And I think it's available as a PSP download, in terms of the retro stuff for the Vita. I'm not sure for the PS4 or the PS3, but certainly for the Vita I think it will be there. So if you're looking for a little puzzle game on your Sony platform or whatever to try out while you're on the road, there's actually plenty there. You've got Patapon, you've got Lumines. It's just very good. It's a shame that the Vita and the PSP didn't get some of the acclaim that they deserve for having some pretty good games on them. It's just, I think, that they're too niche. But yeah, Lumines is pretty damn good. Next week, we are going... Ooh. Which one should I do? Should I do the really, really quirky one? I don't know, but we're sticking with Japanese stuff for next week's video. So, yeah. It's all about the blocks, man. It's all about the blocks.